folks arrive wet, their hair was wet. There was moms and dads looking for their children. There were children looking for their moms and dads.
One patient at Cox Health that night was Tia Coleman. She reached out to a Color 10 reporter from her hospital room and said she wanted to share her story. She was the first to give the world a look into what had really happened on board that duck boat on July 19, 2018. Coleman lost 9 family members, including her husband and 3 children.
There's a big, huge wave. It's choppy, and everybody start getting like, hey, this is a little bit too much. And then it got really choppy and big swells of water start coming into the boat. Then a really huge wave swept over, and when that wave swept over, the last thing I heard my sister-in-law yell was, grab the baby. And my head pushed up to the top of the water, and I lost control. I didn't have anybody with me. I couldn't see anybody. And I know it wasn't, but it felt like I struggled for, it felt like I struggled for at least an hour. But it was probably like 10 minutes. And I just remember I kept sinking. And finally I said, Lord, just let me die. Let me die. I said, I can't keep drowning. I just can't keep drowning, because that's how I felt. And then I just let go, and I started floating. And I was floating up to the top. I felt the water temperature raise to warm. And as I felt the water temperature raise, I jumped up and I saw the big boat that sits out there. I swam over to the boat and I was holding on, but my legs and arms were so heavy from trying. They were so heavy. It was so heavy.
The emotional weight of that day is something Coleman and the other families who lost their loved ones will carry forever, finding hope in others who will help them carry on. As people helped Coleman out of the water, the support for her and other patients continued in the hospital room and beyond. Brandy Clifton is the communications manager for Cox Medical Center Branson.
You are running on adrenaline, leading with love, and in every nook and cranny of the hospital, there was a moment happening. There was a nurse, wiping her tears, a nurse getting the shoes off her feet to give to the little girl. Everywhere you looked, when I got to be that fly on the wall, there was something amazing unfolding in something that was so horrible.
The next morning, A. Dean Smith, director of nursing, was meeting with patients, one little boy in particular.
I have a therapy dog that that's in training. His name's Gus, and so I knew he'd be particularly important. The first child I visited with, he lost his entire family. I just sat on the bed with him, with Gus, my dog, and he played and helped that child just kind of have a sense of normalcy for a minute. And I don't ever force the kids to talk. They just talk when they're ready to talk. And so he said, I have a dog. And I said, you have a dog? And he said, yes. But his mom was the only one who knew where he was. And mom was now gone. And so his biggest concern was, who am I going to live with when I leave here, and can I take my dog? Our staff went into action, and social workers and everybody, and they were able to find his dog. And he did end up living with an uncle who let him keep it. You just think about how precious life is and how it can be taken in a second. So I think about that every day.
With the world zooming in on Branson, the people here were looking to the person next to them, offering a helping hand, holding hands, and pushing through together, finding the good in the bad.
We're a small community. We have a lot of really good relationships, so everybody was hurting. So we all needed to be there for each other. You see the best in people in tragic situations.
My phone rang nonstop for 2 days, people offering things, and different restaurants sending food for the first responders, and the unsung heroes, the people that were on the Branson Bell that jumped in and tried to help, that we do not even know who they are. The Branson Bell employees that went above and beyond their job, that helped and jumped in and tried to save people. They're the heroes.
In the heat of the moment, pizzas arrived, right? something that we still don't know, where the pizzas came from, but just little things like that they were doing. We were in our chapel here at the hospital. That was a pretty popular place for us to go, just to take a breath. And this statue arrived, and it was a little nurse, and she was praying, and she said, God, make sure I have the gifts that I need today. We have no idea where that statue came from. We like to think it was just somebody who didn't know how to, stop the action in the moment, but wanted to do something just to get us through those days.
We, as a church family, were praying for them, and that they had a lot of people here in Indianapolis that were praying for them.
The support and response, was I surprised? Absolutely not. I mean, I knew that that's the heart of what this community is.
Karen Best was the mayor of Branson at the time.
People stepped up, people came, people gave. The Red Cross was there. I can't say enough about them and what a phenomenal job they did in stepping in just to fill the basic needs. And anytime there was anything, all we had to do was just say what the need was, and it was filled 100%. And that's who Branson is. That's the heart of this community.
A year later, those first responders, the families, witnesses, and community members are still healing from the emotional wounds left by the tragedy, and some of them tell us the memories are vivid and the emotions raw.
It's still on everybody's mind.
It's still very fresh. I think it'll be very fresh forever. I don't think we'll ever totally get over it.
I started thinking about it. It was just like yesterday. The feeling in my heart about how those people suffered and how the loss of the families and everything.
Healing doesn't mean forgetting. I think it's so important to revisit, and I hope that that's an annual thing where people can just kind of pause. Revisiting and remembering, being grateful for what we have. I think everyone that you would talk to from that day says, I went home and I hugged my wife, or I went home and I kissed my kids. I told Tia that I would never forget her and I would think of her always, and I will every time I get the kids ready for school for a new school year or take them trick-or-treating. I'm always going to remember that for a moment in time I was part of a story that didn't necessarily have a happy ending.
Now, Ripley Entertainment is not operating duck boats now. It has put some of its duck boats in storage and sold others. An NTSB investigation is still ongoing. An official report of what caused the duck boat to sink may not be released until this fall.
So far, 3 people have been indicted by a federal grand jury. All of those worked for Ripley Entertainment. One of them is Kenneth McKee. He was one of the boat captains. He is facing 17 charges of negligence and misconduct.
Branson Mayor Ed Akers says he plans for a memorial to the victims, but those details are still being discussed.